Hi, my name is Angel, and I am the evaluator who is going to be meeting with you at your upcoming appointment. I wanted to take a couple minutes to introduce myself and also just to say thank you. Thank you for choosing us to help you get your assessment completed. I know you have a lot of options, and so I really appreciate that you've entrusted us to help you get this assessment done. I want to talk to you today about a few things leading up to your appointment, kind of the appointment process, and then what to expect after. The first thing I wanted to touch upon is your client portal. So many of you, in fact, all of you, have scheduled your appointment with us, and right away after you schedule, you get a confirmation that you've registered for an appointment. There's two ways that you can get this appointment done. One is through a Zoom meeting, and the other is through a telephone appointment. So they're pretty much the same after we kind of establish how we're going to meet. So with the Zoom meeting, you will get a link, and that link is actually embedded in the original email that you got right away after registering. If you go back to that email and you kind of scroll down, you'll see a little blue highlighted portion that says join video. If you just signed up for a telephone based assessment, there's no link there. It's just a confirmation email that you're registered and scheduled for your appointment. So once you have that, within a day or two, my assistants finalize getting your file created in our system, and they will create a client portal for you and send some additional emails to you after that point. So that email that you're going to get is going to include your client portal. If you're on a Zoom meeting, it will include your link again. So you'll have two ways to access that link when it comes time for your appointment. And then if you're a telephone-based interview, it will just confirm for you that we're going to call the telephone number that you provided to us. And then the remaining information is the same. You click that link, you'll be able to access your release of information as well as your invoice. So let's talk releases. Where releases are concerned, you get one as a part of our registration process when we create your profile. If you need more, meaning you have maybe more than one person who is in need of the results of this assessment once it's completed, just request that we send you an additional release because there's only one person's name allowed per release. So under the I authorize section is where you would put that individual or your vested party's name and contact information. So by vested parties, typically for my clientele, it would be attorneys, probation officers, social services, employers, and occasionally I do get some individuals who are self-referred. And in that instance, you then would not need to sign your releases prior to our meeting. The release itself is an e-sign release, so you'll go through, pre-fill out that information, check the boxes all the way down, type your name into the box at the bottom, and then click submit. That e-sign will automatically update in our system, letting us know once it has been signed. And then the other piece you will have is the invoice that's inside of that client portal. So with the invoice, you click on it, you can review and pay it with a credit card, an ACH debit card, and or if you need to submit a payment with cash or a check, you have the link there to let you know how much. But where you will need to drop it off or to send it would be 100 Warren Street, Suite 300-132. So if you do go down to the Warren Street address, you would go to the third floor. There's a receptionist at the front desk, and she will take payment for me and just let her know you're making a payment for Stages of Change Center. Once she receives it, she then just reaches out to me so I can make sure to update that in your file. And you'll be able to then check for your paid receipt inside of that client portal once we've had that all updated. The other thing about the client portal is that you can update any of your contact information. So if anything happens to change before we're working together or through that process where we're working together, I invite you to go into that client portal and just update any of that contact information just so that we have it right in our system when we need to reach out and get in touch with you and to make sure that we get your paperwork to the right places. Okay, the other piece about the client portal is that once you make your payment, your receipt will always be in there, and you'll always have access to that portal as well. So you can see which releases you've signed and for who, as well as any receipts that you have for any programming that you've participated in with us. All right. So that takes care of that. The next piece is just kind of what's the purpose of the assessment? Well, if you've been referred by a court entity or an employer or something of that nature, the purpose of the assessment is to sort of gauge your risk areas where chemical use is concerned. Typically, if you've been referred, then there's been an incident or there's been a situation that has brought attention around chemical use for you. And so the assessment is a series of questions where I, as an assessor, just want to get a good idea of what your life areas all include, and then to kind of explore the degree to which alcohol or any other mood altering chemicals might be creating risk or harm in any of your significant life areas, and the degree to which there's a likelihood that negative or unintended consequences could continue if you don't take a closer look at it or at that relationship. All right. So there's a little bit of sometimes anxiety that people have over, well, what are we going to be doing? It's going to be a lot like this, right? It's just kind of in a room like, well, it's like just like this, actually. My virtual office is this. So when we sign on to a Zoom meeting, this is what it looks like. And you're just joining me in another box on the same screen. If you're doing a telephone assessment, this is where I'm talking from. So this is how it looks for me still. And we're just having a conversation over the phone. In our interview, I ask a series of questions, and what I'm trying to understand is the degree to which there are any areas of your life that are being placed at risk or that are experiencing consequence because of risk in your relationship with alcohol or other mood-altering chemicals. And from that, I will come up with a diagnosis. A diagnosis can be everything from no diagnosis to a diagnosis of substance abuse disorder severe. It all happens on a continuum, and it all is sort of determined by the degree of risk that you've had in the past and the kind of risk that's showing up in your current situation. All right. And so from that, I will construct a set of recommendations at the end of the report, and then that will just address those pockets of risk as they have shown themselves in that interview process that we have together. Now, as far as recommendations, people say, well, what does that look like? Does that mean treatment? Does that mean AA meetings or what have you? The honest answer is it's any of those, some of those, all of those, or none of those. There's a variety of recommendations that we can make to address any risk patterns that have shown up. Everything from go to a chemical awareness, to a substance abuse class, to attend a MAD panel, to outpatient treatment, to individual coaching, to individual counseling, and usually as a very last resort, inpatient programming is also one of those recommendation options. But what I really want to do, and that's why I like to spend the time that I do with my clients, is because I really genuinely want to understand where your need is and where you're coming in. What is the situation that's brought you in? Is there any significant risk areas that are putting the areas of your life that have the most purpose, meaning, and value in them at risk? And that's kind of what I'm really passionate about doing is taking that time with you and to really understand what your need is and where you're really coming from and what's really going on with you, so that we can get those recommendations structured so that they actually support and strengthen your own efforts to keep your risk low or to reduce your risk going forward. All right. So with that, I have an ask. At the bottom of this video, you're going to see some questions. And I'm going to ask you to go ahead and fill out those questions before you and I get together for our meeting. And the reason for that is because the questions that are listed below are like static questions. What year did you graduate from high school? What high school did you attend? Did you participate in sports? Are you employed? Where do you work? How many years? That kind of thing. And I want to get those questions kind of out of the way because they are a part of the assessment and everything that I need for it. But I also feel like I would much rather spend our time being able to really have a deeper conversation, and a more in-depth conversation that will give me a better idea, and so that I can better understand, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, where your situation is, and really construct some recommendations that is going to provide you the greatest benefit. So the questions below will take you a little bit. They are private, so that once you submit that those answers, it automatically funnels into your own file. So your questions are not just going to be floating around out there. We do have a process that files them right into your specific client chart. And so I really want to encourage you to please go ahead and take the time to get those questions answered for me prior to our appointment. The reality is that I understand and I respect your time. I know it's precious. Some of you are taking lunch hours and some of you are taking time off of work. And you probably have already got a batch of things that's kind of bringing you away from work, or making it more difficult for you to take that time. And so I really want to respect your time. And part of doing this releases of information and the invoices and this questionnaire is to really try to help keep that time that we're in our interview really concentrated and hyper focused on just getting more in depth in the conversation with you. So if you would please take care of getting this information pre-filled out for us, get those releases signed, and take care of that invoice before our appointment, that will really just help the process along, and I'll really, really appreciate that. Again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video and for choosing us to help you get this assessment done. I'm looking forward to our time together soon, and we'll talk then. Thank you.